Hi class, this is Professor Teixeira. In this video, I'm going to show you how to construct a counting or count chart, also known as C chart. And this one, we count the number of occurrences of an event in a given number of samples. So here we have the number of weekly customer complaints, which are monitored in a large hotel using the C chart, counting chart. We want to develop a 3 sigma, which is 3 standard deviation control limits. So three standard deviations above and below the central line. Okay, and using this table below. This problem was supposed to be the same one we have in the textbook, but here in the textbook they expanded to 20 weeks. I can do both, but I prefer to do the one on slides because we have these formulas that help me to illustrate the computation in Excel. Okay, so let's take a look here. So here's the Excel with the weeks and number of complaints. Okay, so what we have to do is we have first to find this C bar. This is supposed to be the average average number of complaints, okay, which we divide the number of total complaints along this 10 weeks by the number of samples we have. Each week is one sample, okay? So let's do that. There is two ways of doing. I'm gonna do both ways. First, I'm gonna sum the number of complaints. I type equal sum open parentheses, and I sum the number of complaints, close parentheses. And then the number of samples. I have 10 weeks, is 10 samples. I could also use count A, open parentheses, which is going to count the number of cells in a range of cells that are not empty. So if I type count A and select the the range of cells, I have 10 samples. The C bar, which is the average count of complaint, is going to be equal to 22 divided by the number of samples. 22 complaints in total divided by the number of samples, which is 2.2. So on average, the hotel has 2.2 complaints per week. Okay, we could also do equal average, open parentheses, and select the average for all this range of data, which is the same thing. Okay, we will get the same like average. All right. So what is the z value for this control chart? The problem says we want 3 sigma. We want three deviations from the average, the C bar. 3 above, 3 below. So that's 3 here. We're going to allow 3 deviations. And then we need to compute the sigma. The sigma is the standard deviation of this counting. And to compute the standard deviation we have here is square root of the average count. Okay, so let's do that. The standard deviation here is going to be equal SQRT for square root, open parentheses, and select the C bar, which is the average count. When you do that, we got a sigma of 1.48. Let's reduce the number of decimals here to make it visually better. Okay. So mine here is 1.48. Probably this is wrong because, okay, that's, okay, my mistake. It's 2.2. That's the C bar, which will turn into 1.48. That's the standard deviation. Now, what is the center line? The center line is simply the average number of complaints per week. Let's go first to the upper control limit. The upper control limit is going to be equal to my center line plus the number of deviations I'm allowing times the standard deviation of these complaints. That's my upper control limit, which is the same number I have here. My lower control limit is going to be my average number of complaints minus the number of deviations multiplied by the standard deviation. And if the resulting number is negative, then we replace by 0 because we cannot have negative number of complaints, okay? So let's implement that into Excel using the function max. So we type equal max, open parentheses, max between two numbers. The first number is going to be my center line minus my number of deviations times my standard deviation. Okay, that's the formula for the first number. You see that here is highlighted number one. When I'm gonna type comma like I do now, then Excel is asking for the second number. The second number is 0. Okay, so I have two possible values. This first one, if it's positive, that's the number is going to return. If it's negative, it's going to return 0. Because the number is negative, like in here, Excel returns 0. Okay. Now what I can do is I can build here my my number of complaints. Let's repeat that to be able to build the chart complaints. Let me make it wrap this text, centralize. Okay, let's centralize everything. Okay. Okay. So my number of complaints here is going to be equal to the number of complaints I have um, in here. I'm just like putting it here to be able to build the table to use in the chart. So I have my low control limit. I have my upper control limit. I could put them to, so I can put here and here. So my lower control limit is 0, 0 for all of them. And my upper control limit is 6.65. 6.65. We can see here that none is above the upper control limit, none is below the low control limit. But in companies in the manufacturing floor, it's good to have a chart because it's visually better to to figure out very quickly if there is any issue. Let me expand here. Okay, so charts are very good because they help everyone to understand very easily that under this two upper and lower control limit, we have some variability, which is acceptable for the company. And that's everything's fine. If the number of complaints go above 3 deviations from the standard deviation, which is not normal. Like we have a normal variability, but if it goes beyond 3 times that normal variability, then something is going on, and it's better for company to investigate and figure out what's going on. I could again change it for C chart and then format as you want. Okay, that's it. That's how you construct a C chart.